Well, good morning, people. I know I just launched a live, and to expect someone to be there right away, not going to happen. But it's okay. So, going to get started with everything. So, this is the third live stream and the second Stewie Potter themed live streams. This is Stewie Potter and the villains of Paraland. So, last time I talked a lot about what was going to happen in the very next Stewie Potter because I did work on it, but I did not work on it with intention of putting it out there on YouTube. I just started working for Family Guy at the time. So this was 2019. I started working at Family Guy and I was like, hey, I need practice. I need to practice drawing and doing Family Guy stuff. So I thought, what better way to practice on my own than with Stewie Potter and trying to do Stewie Potter in a way that would fit in with the show. Like the hope was I could make something, and then they look at it and they're like, okay, this is how we make Family Guy, and this Stewie Potter is emulating that. So that's what I was going for with with Stewie Potter episode 2. It wasn't intended to be put out. It was intended to show them that I can do what Family Guy does. And it was also good practice for me. I was doing Stewie Potter episode 2 with a team. I actually like I'd gotten some experience as a storyboard artist at that point, and I wanted to get some experience being a director on something. So I did Stewie Potter episode 2, and I brought in 3 board artists who had not been on a show yet. So I gotten fortunate enough to be able to work at Bento Box and then over there at Family Guy. And so I was like, okay, let me get some board artists that are talented but haven't been put through the studio system yet, so that at least they walk away from this, they go, hey, I know what I know a little of what to do now. But so anyway, that last time on the live stream we talked a lot about Stewie Potter episode 2, and this time I wanted to talk about kind of what were the later episodes going to be, what was things looking like near the end of the road for Stewie Potter, and how was I going to end Stewie Potter. So I did a little poll before this, and a lot of people wanted to see what other characters were going to be in Stewie Potter or what roles they were going to play. So I also last time showed a lot of the drawings I did for Stewie Potter episode 2. And so I don't have all that much more unique stuff ready to go because I already kind of showed it off last time. But I did want to try to do something fun. So I want to experiment. I haven't done too much live streaming myself, but I know a lot of live streamers, they'll like draw while they're talking about things, right? They'll answer any questions or they'll do whatever while drawing. And so I kind of had a project planned. So I'm like, okay, I will draw one of the characters that was going to be in Stewie Potter at the end while talking to you guys. But as of right now, we've got nobody on the stream. I know some people were just in and then they bounced out because I didn't just pause and talk to them. But I also found that when uh, I try to address any question, like if anybody asks any questions, I try to point all attention to it. But then when I look back on the live stream afterwards, I'm like midpoint. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm going to do. And then I see a question, and I answer the question, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but back to the thing. And when I go back to the thing, it's completely different. It's no longer about whatever thing I said it was going to be about. So hopefully I don't get too distracted today. But um, as for what other characters were going to be, so let me try to give a quick format for anybody who's watching it. Uh, let's look at what other um, episodes were going to be in Stewie Potter, and then we can look at what characters I have planned to play certain roles in those later episodes, and so that'll knock out the prompt birds with one stone, and then I'm going to show off the main villain. Who was the main villain of Stewie Potter going to be? We all know it's Voldemort, but then I'll transition that to talk about Stewie, the villains of Paraland, right? Because no struggle of good and evil or no epic fantasy is complete without a long lasting villain. Lord of the Rings, you've got Sauron, and Harry Potter, you've got Voldemort, and so Paraland's going to have their own. And I'll show some artwork. I have um, the character design for the main villain of Paraland, but I also have test footage I did a while ago, I'm willing to show that off, or maybe I'll go into the animation software I use. So I did like a whole test scene from the pilot that I wrote that featured the main villain. Like he's actually talking in it, but he's just like this floating head using like a magic device to talk. So I could show off who the villain is, and talk a bit about antagonists in Paraland, antagonists in any kind in this fantasy world, and how they will usually function. Um, so yeah, with that, let's get into some Stewie Potter stuff. So let me make my screen a bit more interesting. Let me add my drawing screen, entire screen. So yeah, so Stewie Potter, I had I had mapped out every chunk. So Stewie Potter was going to just be the first film, right? Stewie Potter was going to be the Sorcerer's Stone. It wasn't going to be an amalgamation of multiple films or whatnot, because I also wanted to leave the option for, like, say it did go well and went really well, and Family Guy was behind me on it as we're making it. It's like, then hey, we could do multiple films, even though in my opinion Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone was the best Harry Potter film. It's just so iconic. It's introducing all of those wonderful elements of Hogwarts, right? Every film after that is kind of getting less and less magical, and more about like, okay, let's just get on with it. Let's just get on and defeat Voldemort, right? But Sorcerer's Stone, Stewie Potter was going to be all those parts. So we were going to start with, well, you guys know what we started with. We started with uh, Sorting Hat, right? That's essentially the first episode. That was the main conflict. And then episode 2 was going to be Diagon Alley. And I showed some teases from that, but that again was going to be the main conflict of that chunk of story. Diagon Alley was going to, you know, all Harry needed was his wand, right? All Stewie needed to get was his wand, but that was still going to be a struggle. So then the third one was going to be first day of class. And Stewie was going to struggle with the classes, with learning magic. He wasn't going to be redeemed until the flight class, where he's like, "Oh, I actually take pretty well to a broom." But so then, here's where my memory starts to waver some, because I did have it all mapped out, but this was almost a decade ago now. Uh, Crazy, right? That it's like this whole journey has been over since, like, I made it almost like 2015. right? It's 2024. But so then there was going to be the first day of class, but then uh, we were going to start getting into the thick of the plot, and it's like after the first day of class and stuff, they're going to be like, "Oh wait, isn't?" It's almost like we forgot to read the books. Like that was going to be a joke. It's like that all of a sudden the bad things were happening, right? And they're like, "Wait, isn't there like a Voldemort here who wants to like kill us?" And Stewie and Brian are both like, "Well, did like you read the book, right?" It's like, "No, I thought you read the book." So they're like, "Okay, so we know who the bad guy is, right? Because we read the books." Oh wait, no, we didn't read the books. So the kind of twist is going to be that the plot moving forward, they need to figure out who's working for Voldemort, um, because neither of them actually read the books. So we were gonna try to have as many of the iconic scenes as possible. So we're gonna have the whole them getting the invisibility cloak, right? So because we're going like on the first day of classes, we introduce Professor Quirrell and all the suspects that could possibly be like in this. We would have all this the suspects out there of who could Voldemort be because Stewie and Brian don't know. But then they have the invisibility cloak where we get the great scene of them following uh, Professor Snape interrogating Professor Quirrell, and we think like, oh wait, what's like, or the, the gang thought Snape was suspicious, right? So we're gonna have this great scene, and can I just say, in this, I think this was going to be episode 4. This was going to be a great scene because if you remember in the film, it's like the kids they're watching Snape, and then he kind of turns to them, and he kind of just like puts out that arm. He's just like and just misses them. And that was a really like I thought it'd be really funny if because it would be Quagmire and Stewie Potter. So Quagmire's got he's like, so by the way, Professor Quirrell was going to be Joe Swanson. Like, oh, who would have suspected old wheelchair Quirrell? But so Snape, Quagmire is going to be interrogating him, and Stewie and Brian are there with the invisibility cloak, and Quagmire kind of looks out and he does the same hand reach, but just bonks them right on the head, and kind of pulls the cloak off of them. And it's kind of like one of those kind of deadpan moments in the show. It's like, oh, hey, I'm keeping this. All right. And then like it would cut away to Lois, Professor McGonagall. She's in her room. She's brushing her hair at the mirror. Then she like looks over, and then does the it just gets air. So that was going to be one of the big jokes of the invisibility cloak episode. Quagmire using it, but then we were going to have the troll episode, right? It was when there was a troll running loose, and Professor Quirrell was like, "Oh." So I guess that should have been reversed, if I remember correctly. So let's reverse that. So we would have had the Halloween. Well, yeah, because that makes sense, right? Because that happened at Halloween, and then it was at Christmas that Harry got the cloak of invisibility. So at Halloween, there's a troll, right? And so if we remember in that episode, or in that moment, right? Uh, Ron and Harry were like, "Hey, where's Hermione?" And they're like, "Oh, wait, we like just insulted her, we like hurt her feelings, she's probably in the bathroom. So they they go run into the bathroom to help save her, right? So in Stewie Potter, it was gonna be that they're like, "Hey, where's Meg? Where's Meg at?" And they're like, "Well, it's Halloween, so she probably ate way too much candy. So, oh, she's probably in the bathroom vomiting all the candy. So we gotta go get her." And so that's how they get to the bathroom to save Meg from the troll. And we all remember the troll, right? Let me pull up an image of the troll. Yeah, you can't see what I'm seeing, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to find. Yeah, this is a good one. You know what? Sorry, Google's being silly. Just just want to steal a photo. Save image as. Let me guess. It becomes one of those WebP type of photos. No, it's a JPEG. So let me get that JPEG to y'all. Let me get that JPEG up here. So yeah, you guys know this episode or this moment in the films, right? So here's the troll, and they got to fight the troll. And I thought, who should uh, play the troll? Right, we've got nobody on the stream right now. I've been talking for like almost 20 minutes. It's nobody, but it's okay. That's not the point of this. Is to give y'all an opportunity. Oh, just as soon as I mentioned it, somebody popped on the stream, and then they go, "Oh God, he's pointing me out. I gotta go." Uh, but it's okay, yeah, and he's gone again. He's like, "Oh shoot, he's about to put me on the spot." It's funny, right? The phenomenon of like nobody wants to be the first or the only. It's like if they jump on, they go, "I'm the only one on here. Oh, this is terrible." But if there's just a handful already, everything's fine. But no, the troll for this should have been played by none other. Do I already have? I've got some model sheets here, but I don't know if I necessarily have everybody. Looks like I don't. So let me go pull up who I need for the troll. So the troll, if there was anybody here, I'm sure y'all could guess who would have played the troll. Uh, as I download this and put it up, I'm gonna give anybody jumping in on the live stream a chance to chime in and say who they think the troll for Stewie Potter would have been played by. We got one person dropped in and out. It's okay. I've got the picture downloaded. You snooze, you lose. So the answer would have been, yeah, Opie. Opie would have been the troll, right? So Opie would have been the troll for that scene because, of course, he would have been. So that troll is interesting. I wonder if we could try, like, screw it. Let's try to do a design of it. So while there's nobody here, I mean, who cares if I just draw a little? So Opie as the troll. Let's just go ahead and let me copy and paste and try to get that body proportion. So Opie's got a big old head on this dumpy body. But the troll has a really small head on a very dopey, weird, big body. So let's look at that. Yeah, already getting there, right? So what do you think that would have looked like? So he's got these big feet. It probably would have been, let's fix that neck. So it just keeps Ving out, right? It would have been very much a V body, right? Even on these big old like hips, and then finally out to probably pull those in more. All right, and then probably something like that, and then so this is how we would have gotten Opie as the troll. Let's give him a rib cage. Give him that same little vest. We got to give him arms too, right? How does arms look on the original? Pretty long. Let me do it on a separate layer. Right. Right. That looks about right. This is just a quick test. Like I didn't think I'd be doing this, but we don't have many viewers popping in, so I'm just gonna draw. I'm gonna draw some Stewie Potter things for y'all since there's nobody asking necessarily any questions or anything. So screw it. I'm just gonna produce content. So this is what I think Opie roughly would have looked like as the troll. So let me duplicate and pull it to the side now. Yeah, so we would have had a loincloth, right? We would have had a loincloth going down here. And we have a big old gut hanging out over it. Is that right? It had something like that with a big old belly button. Yeah. Yeah. That's about right. All right. So should we draw this? Should we draw this out fully? Should we make Opie the mountain troll? All right. Let's do it. Why not? So I got the head there. So I could just get rid of that. Oh no. So yeah, this would have been episode 4 that we would have gotten the Halloween troll debacle. And how can we make him look a bit more like that troll? One, I guess maybe we can maybe make the nose bigger, or does that take it away too much, like from the recognizability? So this is how we know Opie. We know him by his mouth and his crazy googly eyes. And by the way, this is how I work for Family Guy. This is the same program I work in, and sometimes I do get to do character designs. If you've watched any Family Guy in the last 5 years, you've definitely seen some of my work that I've gotten to do for them. And in some episodes, I've gotten to do designs. Not every, so it's not guaranteed that you saw a character design I did, but us board artists, we do get opportunities. The character designers get kind of behind, so we we help out as we can. Do you have eyebrows? Yeah. So give them a unibrow. Did that thing? I see what you mean. Yeah, we can play a little with the head shape, right? Because it's got that cone head. So we can play with the cone head and also, as you mentioned, kind of, yeah, it's a good idea. Just give him like a really harsh brow, right? Yeah, good suggestion, Kovacs. Oh, welcome back. You were here for the last stream, weren't you? Thanks for joining in. Better late than never. I was talking to nobody, but I was thinking of giving him bigger ears too, right? We can do that. We can give him big ears, right? Yeah, I don't like it. Give it more of an angle. Hmm, something like that. With those big ears, we'll give him another one on the other side. Nah, I don't like it. Uh, it's fine. We also give him a double chin. All right. All right. That's the head drawn. So, yeah, we're already most of the way there. So let me try to do this quickly. But so this was going to be who they have to fight in episode 4. Is his jacket tattered? Tattered enough. And it's sleeveless, right? Yeah. Okay. Um, I, oh, there we go. Give him his other arm. So yeah, this is how I did a lot of the designs. Um, is you just start with your base, and then grab your references, and then just get some kind of outlines going of the proportions of how they should have been. right? And mm, one thing I love about working in Storyboard Pro is it's all um, vector based, so it's really easy to. Oh man, do we give them those spiky bumps on the legs? I guess so. So let's. How many toes does he have? Looks like only like 2 toes. Am I wrong? Am I seeing that wrong? How many toes does he have? One, two, just two. Yeah, I'm not imagining things. Okay, so then let's do the same thing. Yep. And then same thing here. All right. Bum, 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 bum. So mm, it's not perfect. There's definitely things I would want to go back and change. But hey, while on a live stream and just kind of goofing off, let's see. I did mention given the bumps, but I think we need to slide these under. So yeah, here's our base Opius the troll. Right? Yeah, we had Opius the troll, and he caught Meg in the bathroom vomiting her brains out because she ate too much Halloween candy. And then Stewie and Brian need to be able to save her with a nice Wingardium Leviosa spell, right? Keep things similar. What do you guys think? Is it a work of art? Thanks to suggestion from Kovacs. And also, if any of you guys are looking into using Storyboard Pro, uh, there we go. Yeah. So let's keep it moving. So yeah, that would have been for episode 4. And then episode 5 would have been the invisibility cloak around Christmas time, right? And then episode 6. What else is happening in the first film? I've watched it a million times. So oh yeah, there's the whole getting in because they got in trouble, and then you know, Draco rats them out, and Draco's like, it's like, I caught them. And they're like, all right, well, all 4 of you are going to be in trouble. And Draco goes, excuse me, ma'am, I thought you said the 4 of us. And so they all have to hang out with Hagrid, right? And so they have to go into the dark forest, right? So there would have been the dark forest episode where they would have gotten the first run in with Voldemort, right? Gotten a clue at who it is, and that would have been a fun episode to make because then it's Meg, Chris, Stewie, and Brian going out into the forest, and then of course, having some jokes there, playing around with the centaurs. Because I had a joke in episode 2 that didn't I wasn't crazy about it in the final execution of it, but essentially it's like Brian was good, like, okay, yeah, I'll just hang out and get some writing done. And uh, he's like, "Oh, Hagrid, what's the Wi-Fi password?" He's like, "Oh, it's genital Hagwarts, all lowercase." And Stewie's like, "Hey, yeah, about that. What do you guys even need a password? Who you trying to keep out?" And he's like, "Ah, the centaurs of the dark forest." It's like they were watching too much bestiality porn. And then the feds got involved, and now nobody gets to watch bestiality porn. What? I collect spiders, three-headed dogs, and dragons. Of course, I'm into that kind of stuff. It didn't make it into the final cut, but it was never going to come out anyway. Um, so then there would have been the Dark Forest episode, and then move him over here. That was an okay drawing. That was an okay drawing. So then episode 7 afterwards, would that have been after that? Then there, oh, we would have had a Quidditch match. We would have had a Quidditch match episode. Um, but would that have been before or after? So I apologize for the sequencing. I just remember that, we wanted to hit certain things. And as I mentioned earlier in the stream, it's been almost a decade since I reviewed what the plan was going to be. So, Stewie and Chris would have been playing against each other in the Quidditch match. And had I really been tackling this, that would have been a fun episode to test myself in terms of animation and getting them to go for it. But it's also, this would have definitely been a culmination type of thing because thus far in Stewie Potter, Stewie was struggling with learning magic. So, but at least he's doing well with flying. So the Quidditch would have been his redeeming factor. But so then we could look at uh, episode 8 being the final trials, right? Trying to stop because there's the great scene. It's like, oh yeah, well I told them blah blah blah. Oh, shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. And so it's like, Hagrid does a really bad job of keeping secrets, and so it's like it was just prime for Peter to be like, oh, what do you mean? Like, of course I told him about this, that, and the other, and how to get past furry and blah 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 blah. So 8 would have been the 3 trials, right? It's like what? It's like brought like I always found it a funny detail that Ron, who's kind of like this dopey sort of son, is actually like really good at chess, which is long held as. Did you have any plans for Joe? Yes. I mentioned earlier in the stream that Joe was going to be Professor Quirrell. And so that was another image I was drawing up. So, and that ties in, right? So, Professor Quirrell, they don't know is the bad guy in this because even though they came into it, they're like, well, you read the book, right? So you know who the villain is. It's like, well, no, I thought you read it. You're the author. Why wouldn't you have read it? It's like, wait, you sent us into a book that you never even read? So the whole thing is like, They're like, it's got to be Quagmire, right? Snape's definitely got to be the bad guy. So that kind of like carried out a lot of tension. But then it's like, yes. Then they get to after the three trials, they get to the mirror, and sure enough, who's there? Joe is there. Joe is Professor Quirrell. So while I'm on stream with you guys, yeah. So that was going to be the ending, right? They were going to get to the mirror, and Joe was going to be Professor Quirrell. But we all know that Professor Quirrell is hiding uh, the identity of Voldemort behind his turban. So I drew that for you guys, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. So let me go ahead and finish drawing Professor Quirrell, and what I already drew is who's underneath the turban. So yeah, if you guys want to hang out, I'm just gonna do some more drawing of Joe as Professor Quirrell, and feel free to chime in, and I'll answer any questions going forward. So, how do we have this nice outfit on Joe? Let's so what we give him that turban. I have nice, nice big old turban on his head. Right, something like that. I love appropriation at the right times and right place. Let's see. How should I go about that? Right, something like this. I could try it again later, but something like that. Right. But if he's Professor Quirrell, then he's always looking concerned. Yeah. Nobody suspect the guy in the wheelchair. Well, that's because usually it's not the guy in the wheelchair. But hey, this time it is. This time it's me. Right? Professor Quirrell is the bad guy. So hopefully this answers your question, Kovacs. And while I'm drawing him, I'm trying to think. So the other, oh yeah. So in the classes, Stewie was going to excel at flying, and the flying teacher was going to be none other than Trisha Takanawa. And Brian was going to make a very insensitive joke about that. And and I'm not going to try to attempt it right now while I'm multitasking because the internet is brutal. Take something out of context and ooh, buddy. I love all the headlines you see in the news where it's like someone quite literally says they're like, it's like, yeah, they'll take anything out of context. And then it's like the headline is taking that out of context to try to get this person in trouble. It's just The irony is palpable. So he would have had something here, right? So I'm using a really thick line. I usually don't, but it's just for this stream, right? Like, it should really be about like half as thick to do these character designs. Because I've actually turned things in the past with a thick line weight. Actually, let's see, do I have one? Because I yeah, turned something in. It was way too thick, and they were like, which character designer turned in these designs? It's like, oh, sorry. Because I don't know if you guys saw one of the recent um, Halloween episodes when Peter becomes a hologram and Roberta comes around as Harley Quinn. Just it's like it's one of the jokes in the episode, and she comes through. I did the design for Roberta in that situation, and Joseph Lee, he's a very high standards person, and he approved it, and actually like really trusted me with character designs after that. So I appreciate that, Joseph. Thank you so much. But so, but like the supervising director, they're like, dude. Kovac says, I see where the joke is going. I like it. With Professor Quirrell here. Do you see the writing on the wall? So while you guys are on here, any guesses? And try not to cheat too much, right? Try to, but I've got an answer as to who Voldemort is underneath his hood. So let me. All right, we get something like that going. Maybe. So then the Trisha one, I'm still in the dark on Quirrell. Oh yeah, yeah, because Trisha was Trisha Takanawa. We know just in her name what she is ethnically, and then the flight teacher had cat eyes for some reason. Don't know why she had cat eyes, but she did. And so Trisha Takanawa would have had something going on with her eyes, and yeah, Brian makes real bad joke. And I used to do stand up, and I'm glad I don't anymore because I just remember doing it as a young comedian. You're literally trying to figure things out. Like I would go to these open mics and I would try jokes out. I didn't know that, like, when you're young and experimenting, you're not sure what's gonna go well or not. You're literally experimenting. So uh, you know, you get on stage, you try out these jokes, and but that now it's so easy to document everything. Like then, like you had to consciously try to record your sets and hear it back. And I do have recordings of my sets, and I listen back to some of the jokes, and it's just like dang, like it was an experiment, but thank God, um, it's not how this is. But yeah, it's just tough. Uh, I gotta look at his outfit. I'm a little confused. All right, so we had little extra somethings going on here, didn't he? Something like that. Same thing there. What else was going on with his outfit? Uh, trying to see how it connected down. Is it just like a dress? Is he just wearing a dress? A cloak. That maybe we're almost there. Okay, we're getting near the end of my stream time, and I haven't talked anything Paraland related. But I'm just gonna go ahead and try to wrap this up. So this is just a real rough job of what I would have done to make Professor Quirrell. And but here we are. So I would still need to flesh some things out, right? Make us the wheels and everything. Kind of don't want to get too much into that, but without it, because oh no, he's just floating there. Okay, so we do need to do a little something so it looks a little better. Um, but I appreciate you guys being on with me. I focused a little less on content today and more so on just drawing for you guys. That's kind of become my full time job now, which is pretty cool. That I was uh, parking cars when I made Stewie Potter for you guys. And I was really happy to make it, but it was a lot of work. Um, and I still spend all of my free time essentially working on projects for you guys. But I made Stewie Potter to help get myself out there because, you know, at the time if I made well, I did make original stuff and I tried putting it out there, but I needed to get better as an artist, as a writer, and one of the best ways to get better as a writer and as an artist is um, to dissect other people's work. So I'm very proud of Paraland now because I took the time to do Stewie Potter, to do Doom of Valyria, and kind of learn how they made their things work and why they work so well. And I think, yeah, something like that. So that's Professor Quirrell from the front. So that would have been the villain of Stewie Potter, right? Because behind his head, all right, let me flesh out his back a bit more. Just gonna rough it. And I'm not gonna get into the same particulars because we don't got time for that. Okay, wheels. Y'all get it. So off. It's so off. But it's okay. It's not. It's not the point of this stream. The point of this stream is to show you guys what would have been. All right. So, without further ado, okay, maybe a little bit more ado. Let's get those wheels in there so it doesn't feel so. All right. So, who would have been behind the turban? All right, we've got two people on here. Any guesses who's behind the turban? Any guesses at who would have been Voldemort in Stewie Potter? And if anybody was thinking Carter Pewterschmidt, that's a good guess, but he would have been a better, um, what's his name? Lucius Malfoy, because just mean old man. But here it is. I'm going to take away the hood, the turban. Oh, wow. It would have been Roger the alien. That's who I wanted to be Voldemort the entire time. I knew that a long time ago. I was like, okay, yeah. What a twist, right? Oh my goodness gracious. Well, the silly thing was is the reason I thought Roger right away is because he's the only like canonical character that doesn't have a nose. And he's the same color as Voldemort, essentially. But it would have worked out pretty well. It would have been really funny. I mean, Roger is probably the best American Dad character, and so for him to come in to be the villain, it's about right. So that's other than that, like I've talked out a lot of what would have been Stewie Potter, right? It would have been like 8 episodes at about 5 minutes each. But that wasn't something that could happen. I made it to put myself out there. But when I first came up with it, I didn't intend on not making it. It's just more so it's kind of like you're met with the reality of your plans. So I made Stewie Potter, I put it out there, and then kind of realized what's possible, what's doable, what's good, what's not good. And so making Stewie Potter was not going to be sustainable. But then I followed it up with Doom of Valyria, and there was a good reason for doing that. I needed to show people something different. That it's like, you know, I made South Park and then I made Family Guy, and everyone's like, "All right, so now you're going to do Futurama or you're going to do Rick and Morty," and it's like, no, I'm doing none of that. And I'm really glad that I did Doom of Valyria after that because I was very proud of that work and it was very different. But I said I was going to end the stream some talking about the villains of Paraland. So let's see. Do I have? Yeah. So in the trailer, the hype trailer, you can see uh, images of a monster that they fight. And so this is one of the old designs I did for that monster. So he kind of evolved and grew as I worked on it, but this was one of the original designs of the Mentivore. And then we have our own uh, Voldemort, right? So we've got our own Voldemort, and His name is Malthor. Come on, what are you doing? So our main villain is this guy named Malthor, and so you could tell just by looking at him that Malthor is definitely in line with kind of like a Ganondorf type, because Ganondorf is such a great villain, one of the greatest villains ever. To be honest, like playing like Breath of the Wild, one of the biggest disappointments of Breath of the Wild is that Ganondorf was just an after. He was this pig spirit floating around the castle, and that even when you fought him, and it was just like this big monster thing. It's like Ganondorf was so much more fun as someone who's in the world with them, messing with them. So Malthor, as kind of our own Ganondorf, he's someone who's there. He's a part of it. He's actively working against them, because that was the fear in Lord of the Rings, right? Is we're trying to prevent the return of Sauron, which is cool and all, but I definitely love the Ganondorf model a whole lot more. And what you could tell from this image of Malthor is you see a lot of like bonus stuff going on. So last week I talked some about the 12 races of Paraland, and so he actually is mixed race. So he is mainly an orc, but he's also part Faultier, which is the goat people. And so he kind of represents two very disenfranchised groups. And so he believes a lot in retribution. So that's kind of what makes Malthor our main villain. Is Paraland is this world of 12 races trying to come together. This nation is trying to have equality for all 12 races, but as we experience in our own world, is it's really hard. It's really hard to have equality, and we don't always get it right. So Malthor kind of took control, and he doesn't represent equality. He represents retribution, right? Because if you watch like the Hunger Games, that's kind of what happened, right? So you've got the elite, and then you've got all the districts fighting for their lives, and then at the end, they want to flip the script, and it's like, well, that's not justice, that's retribution. That just continues the cycle of hate. So then the elite become the disenfranchised, and the disenfranchised will then want to rise up again. So Malthor is a villain because um, he likes to hate things. He likes to hate things. He wants to destroy things he thinks he disagrees with. And what you notice about him in this drawing is, you see like his kind of arm is missing, and he's got like these scars, and you know these these dark eyes. It's because he is undead. So essentially, what happens in the show is the trio defeat him, and then right in the first season, he gets resurrected. And so the rest of the show, they're dealing with an undead Malthor. And one of the reasons I kind of like that and had that is because he also just kind of represents people who like to hate on things. Like, he's full of hatred, he likes retribution, but he also just kind of represents haters, right? And there is no killing haters. Like, it's like, how many celebrities have you seen think that they're like mic dropping some type of uh, hate group, only when really it just becomes more fuel to the flame for them. So Malthor is kind of like this undying presence. You can't get rid of the Malthors of the world. All you could do is try to stop them from gaining too much power. And so that's kind of the ultimate goal in this show is Malthor is going to be around. He's going to try to take control, and the trio can't fully get rid of him, but they can try to stop uh, someone with so much hate and just contempt in their heart from taking control. So that's kind of what the trio represents. Jim, Feel, and Grumble. They kind of just represent this idea of, like, they don't necessarily want the power, but they also uh, don't want people like Malthor to take control. And I think that's another kind of theme that I'm going for with this, that you know that we've heard time and time again, is like, oftentimes leadership roles will be taken by the wrong people. And that's because the good-hearted people that would try to do a good job don't want to fight for the power, right? Good people are like, oh no, it's fine. If Malthor wants it, that's cool. I get it. I'm not gonna fight him for it. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, we've all been in a workplace where it's like, we've had a coworker that would be like too much like right for them to be the manager or the one in charge, but they'll never have it. They'll never do it. And it's always the annoying jerk that's been around too long and it's been fighting and fighting and fighting, and they're the ones that get it. And it's just kind of like a part of life, right? That the good ones that we know, the good people that we want to see, uh, you know, take on leadership roles. We want to encourage them to be brave enough to be willing to ruffle feathers, right? So that's the design of Malthor. Showed you guys the design of the Mentivore, that you can see the final design of the Mentivore, um, in the 3.5 minute trailer that I made. That you guys, if anybody's in LA or in the LA area, September 27th, the Burbank International Film Festival. You can get like two tickets for $20 to go see it. I'm pushing it lightly. I would love for you guys to come, uh, to have a chance to interact, to see it, and I'll be there. I'll be there. They do like a Q&A with all the directors afterwards. So if somebody's there that wants to see Paraland, you can ask a question about it there. We can all hang out afterwards. But anyway, that's all that I wanted to talk about today. That the villain of Stewie Potter and the villain of, uh, Paraland. I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much for joining on today. And I'm going to do one more of these. I'm going to do one more next week, and that's going to be for Doom of Valyria. So, any of you guys that had any Doom of Valyria questions, by all means, chime in there. And I think that's going to be the end of doing these YouTube lives. I'm not trying to make a career out of doing any live streams or anything. I made these things, and I felt like I was, leaving you guys out to hang dry. I felt like I kind of made these episode ones and then just kind of disappeared, but that was never the intention. That was never the plan. And I just wanted to do these to show you guys, yes, I had intentions, I had plans, and I have intentions and plans with Paraland. Like, this is something I can see through. I like There is nothing stopping me from making Paraland for you guys. Everything else has some weird strings attached. So just want to let you guys know, this was the plan all along. This is the plan for the last few years. That anytime I commented on you guys' comments on YouTube, and I said, "Hey, I'm working on something," it was this. It was Paraland. I've been working on Paraland for years, so that next time I put something out for you guys, I can see it through. I don't have to be looking over my shoulder. Like, I had Stewie Potter taken down a few times. Disney tried taking it down. Uh, Fox tried taking it down. I got it put back up, but you know, I I shouldn't have to be fighting to for my content to reach you guys. It should just be hard work, and I'm okay with hard work. I want to. I'll do as much work as possible to get you guys good content. But so see you guys next week, and thank you so much for joining on this stream, and have a nice day, everyone.